The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, this is Tom Lane, DM2 Software's Vice President of Sales and Marketing. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Fuels Breakout Track webinar. And what that is a recap of the Fuels Track educational breakout sessions that we did at our user conference in July. So we wanted to bring all of our professional service members together to give you a presentation on that, give you a recap. But before I introduce today's presenters, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Because of the number of attendees we have on today's webinar, everyone's phones will stay on mute. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the question window that you see in the lower right of your screen. We'll try to answer everyone's questions at the end of the webinar. If we're unable to get to your question, we'll follow up with you individually after the webinar. Today's webinar is being recorded. As soon as the recording is available, I'll post it on our website, and we'll also put a copy of the presentation slides that you'll be seeing up there as well. And as soon as that's available, I'll send a message around to let you know when they'll be able to be viewed and downloaded. On that note, I'd like to introduce Patty Hendrickson. Patty is going to be our lead presenter today, and then you can see on the cover slide she's got a whole cast of characters to support her during the presentation and at the Q&A session. So on that note, I'll hand it over to Patty. Go ahead, Patty.
Thank you. I apologize. Of course somebody called in right when we started. Well, welcome to the summary of the 2016 DM2 Users Conference Fuels Track. Today, we will go over the fuel automation via Sales Order, Dispatch Manager, Delivery Link, DTN EBOL, consigned stations, and site tank maintenance. We'll go over flexibility and communication with new fuel pricing options, new freight functionality, wholesale price quote improvements, and daily fuel price reports. Finally, we will go over our innovative solutions with one of our business partners and the smart truck integration. Some of you may already know what Sales Order Dispatch Manager is, as the feature was introduced in 2013. For those of you who don't know might be wondering, what is Sales Order Dispatch Manager? What better way to describe it than showing you a picture of what it is? Imagine having a feature in DM2 where you have the ability to create a sales order and know your costs and your margin over multiple pickup points at the same time that you're entering in that order, and then make a pickup point selection based on this. Now imagine being able to do all of that without having to jump around in the system to find this information. Now imagine doing all of that and being able to email or fax that sales order directly to your driver so that they can see what products they'll be picking up at what terminal. Well, that's exactly what Sales Order Dispatch Manager is. As you can see on this figure, Sales Order Dispatch Manager has item pricing, price table pricing, freight rate maintenance, customer special pricing, the fuel discount table maintenance, all built into one screen. This enhancement provides a way of viewing pricing and creating sales orders and quotes when delivering across multiple racks. It consolidates pricing and rack information to provide a unified view, allowing the dispatch or pricing operator to pick the best combination. Here are some common reasons why DM customers are using Sales Order Dispatch Manager. To maximize margin and searching for a lowest rack price. To win the business, the dispatcher can then search various terminals to find the best source to provide the lowest overall cost, product and freight to the customer and win their business. You'll find Sales Order Dispatch Manager under the Petrolink main menu. So you may be wondering, where do I set it up? The nice thing about Sales Order Dispatch Manager is that it uses the setups you have already completed: item pricing, price table maintenance, freight rates, so the amount of setup is minimal. You can save off the templates for different customers, and you can add or remove pickup points on the fly. Now that it's set up, you can select which terminal you will be picking up from. You'll notice this is the example that we've chosen, and it's Sitco Sulfur as they are highlighted. Once they are highlighted, I can select the Show Prices icon, and it gives me a breakdown of the cost, price, and margin for that product. The system will create a sales order quote or sales order based on your selection. Unit price, freight, and additional fees that are set up are calculated for the customer. When creating a sales order through Sales Order Dispatch Manager, the system goes through the normal channels and processes it would if you were creating a sales order from sales order entry, such as credit checking. In this example, a sales order was created. The fuel tax fee assessment of compliance fee is added and provided as a line on the sales order. The vendor or supplier and the pickup point are now listed on the sales order. The buttons at the bottom of the screen will change based on selecting quote or order. If the quote was created, it can now be converted into an order. A sales order can be changed and updated at that point. This order can now be printed and or emailed or faxed to the customer or your carrier. This is an example of pulling an existing sales order into Sales Order Dispatch Manager. The blue font on the item and the quantity indicates that this is a sales order. The appropriate supplier and pickup point can then be assigned, and the sales order can then be updated. We did want to mention a new feature that's been around for some time now, however, you may not have been aware of it. The full price lookup can be found in the Account Customer Inquiry on the Pricing tab. This is a convenient tool for understanding where and how the system is calculating the price. In summary, Sales Order Dispatch Manager enhancement provides a new way of viewing pricing and creating sales orders and quotes when delivering across multiple racks. This consolidates pricing and rack information to provide a better unified view to allow dispatch and pricing managers to pick the best buy. It allows you to maximize your margin, searching for the lowest rack price without the guesswork, and it allows you to win the business. Your dispatcher or pricing manager can search various terminals to find the best source to provide the lowest overall cost, product and freight, to the price to the customer to win their business. Next up is DM2 Delivery Link. DM2 built this program to address customer requests, automate data more efficiently from the driver. This includes your common carriers. The driver can access the data by logging into the tablet, iPhone, or mobile device. End users could use Apple, Android, and or Microsoft devices. Your back office can then create the orders, send them to the web, and the driver can retrieve them remotely. The data will then be transmitted back to the back office remotely for processing, instead of needing to wait for the driver to return back to the office. There are 3 ways to connect orders in Delivery Link. By selecting a Ship Via truck and driver that has been set up in the Delivery Link setup, the program will tag the order as a Delivery Link order. Dispatch can add the truck and driver at a later time, at which time the program will automatically set the Delivery Link flag. Once the order is accepted, the order will be sent via Delivery Link to the web services. The driver will select and submit the vehicle. The driver will know anything wrong with the cab or the trailer by clicking on that portion of the vehicle. I'm sorry, this is in reference to the daily inspection record. They select the issue from the drop-down box if they come up with an issue and put any remarks in. If they need, they can find the signature line and then hit submit inspection at the bottom of the page. Dispatch will then automatically get an email notifying of the inspection for the truck selected. DM2 Delivery Link takes the manual process from the driver having to notify the dispatch team with the issue. Once the driver has completed and submitted the truck inspection, they will see a listing of their scheduled deliveries in the order screen. This means that the inspection will happen every day because it's a requirement of the process. They can then access each delivery record or select from the menu below to access other areas such as pickup points, products required, etc. With DM2 Delivery Link, drivers have access to all orders that have been assigned, including products. They can double-click anywhere on the screen and it will provide order details, including pickup points by product, a map linking directly to the delivery address, special delivery notes, some might know these as SI memos, and the ability to add and remove blends. In the products required by pickup point, drivers can see in an instant what they need to pick up and where they need to pick it up at. The Products on Board functionality shows what drivers should have on their truck at any given time. This gets updated in real time as purchases and deliveries are made throughout the day. It also displays products that have been picked up but not yet distributed. When you select a product, the driver can then select to show it as retained or delivered to inventory by selecting a specific warehouse. In the load pickup process, your driver will enter BOL as applicable for products they have just loaded and add the gross or net quantity. For the delivery process, enter quantities delivered on the order. Check the box if the order is complete and then submit delivery. The customer can sign, and upon completion, you are taken back to the order screen to deliver your next product. The customer will then be sent a delivery ticket copy with the signature at the bottom via email. It's as simple as that. Can you imagine how much quicker and easier it will be to collect on these invoices? Also notice that amazing signature. I think it must be my husband. DM2 Delivery Link allows for easy and effective lookups. Uploading and processing deliveries and distribution are made easy. You can also import into Sage the PDFs that are generated through Delivery Link. DM2 built Delivery Link to address customer requests to send and receive data more efficiently from the driver and common carriers. The driver can access the data by logging into a tablet, an iPhone, or mobile device, and end users can use Apple, Android, and/or Microsoft devices. The back office can create orders, send them to the web, and the driver can retrieve them remotely. The data will then be transmitted to the office remotely for processing instead of needing to wait for the driver to return back to the office. Next up is DTN BOL. DTN eBOL allows you to import and monitor your BOLs via DTN for better accuracy and better control. It provides an opportunity to automatically import the BOL header into DM2 for improved accuracy and efficiency. BOL header receipts are brought in via the DTN BOL interface. It decreases processing time and improves accuracy. It makes reconciling at the end of the day and end of the month quicker and easier. You can make sure all the BOLs have been processed and adjust any that have not each day. DTN has added a recent feature using the load PIN number, so you can now use that for your contracts and custom terminals. I'm just going to walk you through some of the setups. Here is the link to the supplier. The supplier then links in on the bill of lading screen, as you see here. Here is the DTN carrier maintenance. Here is the pickup point. You'll notice it has both the supplier code and the pickup point. There's also the destination code. the item maintenance, and lastly, the warehouse maintenance. Yeah, it's a few setups, but the ability to automate is such an important and challenging process is definitely worth it. A few setups here saves a lot of time entering in bill of ladings later. For processing, once the BOL data has been downloaded, you will start the import program located in the DTN import interface. After importing the DTN EBOL transactions, it imports into a common batch. So users can create a new batch, and by entering in the supplier and the BOL number, the combination is found over in the common batch, will allow a message to appear and ask if it should be moved into the batch they're working in. This allows users to process their BOL batch and update the BOLs that have been received. It also allows users to see the remaining BOLs, also known as the BOLs the drivers lost under the seat, left at the customer site, or simply forgot to turn in. This makes closing your day quicker and streamlines your month end because you've been doing it every day. In summary, DTN EBOL provides the opportunity to automatically import the BOL header into DM2 for improved accuracy and efficiency. BOL header receipts are automatically brought into the system via the DTN BOL interface. It decreases processing time and improves your accuracy. Reconciling at end of day and end of month is quicker because you've made sure all the BOLs have been processed and been addressed along the way. Additionally, there is the new loading PIN number you can use through DTN for contracts and custom terminals. Next up are the consigned station and site reconciliation. Import or enter your consigned stations and site tank values and monitor for better accuracy and better control. Here is the site tank setup. This is where you link the physical site number to the site, the warehouse, and the product. For your daily entry, you'll go into Site Tank Entry and enter in the value on that particular product by site and by tank. Then you'll go ahead and run the Site Tank reporting. You'll run it for a date range. Then what you'll see is the ability to see your beginning inventory, what you received in, what was transferred out, what was adjusted out, what was sold, in order to come up with your ending balance. This gives you an inventory value per unit and also extended out. It keeps track of your over and short by day in a cumulative fashion. It also gives you the last BOL that was received into your inventory. So if you have trouble with an item, you can go research that quicker. Consigned stations works in conjunction with Site Tank Entry to keep all of your gallons at your consigned station straight, as well as bill your customer and track their commissions. You can hand enter in consigned station values, import them, or use an FTP site. DM2 consigned stations can be accessed by the store or by your back office. The logins are based on the customer's site. The fees and commissions are set up as miscellaneous charges. You can enter in for your commissions by quantity, tank. You can enter in your quantities based on tank, product, or pump. Your commissions can be calculated by the quantity sold, a profit split, or a percent of retail price. Here is what the grid entry looks like after import, or if you're doing it by hand. And here's the link from the site tank reconciliation over to consigned stations. After import and review of entries, invoices are generated, updated, and if you use Outbox, emailed to your customer, yet again improving the cash conversion cycle. Here's an example of what happens when you import into the invoice. You see you've got the commission in there down at the bottom, and it's a subtraction out of the invoice. In summary, Site Tank Reconciliation provides data pieces from throughout the system in one report. It's easy to read and easy to use. Consigned Station links your back office to your consigned stations on an on-time, regular, and efficient billing cycle. Next up is flexible fuel pricing. We're going to go over with new formulas and methods, our price level expansion, price imports, and DTN pricing exports. What flexibility do I gain? You have more competitive pricing options, fewer price tables to maintain, less price tables to be imported. You can set up your tank wagon for yesterday's pricing. You can use weekly pricing or even regional pricing. Look at the many new ways your DM2 pricing has increased your flexibility. But wait, we're going to go into it with more detail. We continue to have the options to use create from table and create from item with pricing adjustments, but we've also included the ability to offset by the number of days, by time, independently or in conjunction with each other. You can compare tables to find the best of pricing or the highest price to maximize your margin. Average pricing to recreate your own OPUS pricing. Blend prices together for your kits or fuel blends. Prior day pricing or prior week pricing, which is great for your government contracts. Contract pricing has added the ability to calculate based off another price. So contract price listing, off a price table. Contract price table listing report displays either the price you've entered in or the price table you've entered it in to. Additionally, price level pricing have been expanded to 3 characters instead of 1, which allows for more complex pricing structures, up to 46,656 options. So the sky's the limit here. The real challenge is to not go overboard. We have several ways to import in your daily fuel prices. DTN fuel price imports, automated access or OPUS pricing imports, or standard price imports, meaning create your own file. DTN pricing imports have added several options for import, still allowing for the FTP inbox for checking your prices on a regular basis and updating your price tables when you are hard at work on your new task. Access and OPUS pricing imports can be automated using a Windows task schedule. Or you can import your own CSV pricing files using standard pricing imports. Whether this is from a supplier that emails it to you or something that you develop internally, you can automate this process. In version 2016, you can use that for a task scheduler, and in 2013, you can execute this from the menu. Do you have customers who would like to download your invoices from DTN? Well, the DTN price export is here for you. With a few simple setups and working with DTN, your customers will be paying for your invoices quicker than ever. Just to recap, DM2 has significantly expanded flexibility and options in your pricing, and now is the time to capitalize on it. Next up is freight. We have done a lot of work here, so hold on to your hats. It's going to be a wild ride. First, let's look at the standard freight setup below. The look is a bit different, but the biggest change is that you can enter in a filter criteria and then hit list records, and you only get the records you want. It loads much faster because it's not loading all the lines in the window. It's also like a grid entry, like the rest of the modules. Some new BOL options. Post freight into freight out cost of goods sold. This is related to how you want freight to post to the GL. We won't have time to go over it today, but ask your consultant if you're curious. Post freight on gross gallons. Your fuel vendor may sell to you at net gallons, but the carrier charges you based on the gross gallons. This box allows the system to handle that situation. Tax class for freight follows the fuel tax class. If the fuel you are selling is taxed at a tax class of TS, the freight will use the same settings for that tax class instead of the tax class assigned to the freight in the inventory maintenance. This is useful when the freight and the fuels are taxed the same. Washington and Alabama states are very familiar with this. Freight tiers and minimum freight. This feature was developed to allow you as users greater flexibility where freight is concerned. You may have carriers who charge freight in a more complex way than standard, or you may want flexibility to bill customers' freight in that way. This allows you to charge a different rate and or minimum charge based on the quantity that's on the bill of lading. When the rate value is 0 on a line, you will see these two arrows are now available for selection, which launches the Freight Tiers window. When you click on the arrows, you get this screen, which looks a lot like the pricing tiers in inventory, but there's a third column for the minimum dollar amount. So if the quantity of gallons multiplied by the per gallon rate is less than $50, like in this example, then the $50 will be charged for freight, and no freight surcharge will be calculated on that $50. Freight surcharge assessed in freight rate maintenance, as it has been for a couple of versions now. What has changed is the addition of a different surcharge by state or by customer. Surcharge by state allows you to have different surcharge rates for deliveries going into different states. Because crossing state lines has an impact on cost, this lets you account for those differences within the system setup instead of a workaround. Many times we see where the customer is getting a contract price including freight, but the carrier is still due the surcharge. So you can honor the contract but still correctly account for the cost of freight from the carrier without affecting the surcharge to other customers for this carrier. You've long been able to add...
This is Tom. I just wanted to give you a heads up. We're right at the top of the hour, so about a half hour to go.
Perfect. You've long been able to add charges to be billed to the customer. We call them ancillary charges. Now you can add them so that they flow to accounts payable invoice. Freight roll-up. In Petrolink options, we can check the box and freight will roll up into the product. So if you have an invoice that has diesel and then freight listed beneath it, if it's rolled up, then the freight will show on the invoice lines, but not on the invoice that goes to the customer. In Petrolink options, we can check the box and freight will roll into the product. If it's blank, the freight will display separately on the customer's invoice. And customer maintenance under the Petrolink button, you can make a specific customer choice as to how the freight is handled. Freight can follow the default setting, like we just looked at, or for this customer, you can choose to have it do the opposite of the default, either display on its own line or roll into the product. If the freight surcharge is left blank, then it will behave in whatever way you select for the freight roll-up. Otherwise, regardless of what the freight is set to, freight surcharge can display on a separate line, roll into the freight, or roll into the product. For various freight features to work, you must have the exact correct item code set up, as the system will look for these specific codes when applying freight to an invoice. Next up is Wholesale Price Quotes. Sending your customers quotes to win more business has never been easier. This feature uses existing setups for freight, pricing, taxes, and more. Customers receive the quotes via DM2 outbox in PDF or Excel format. The PDF version is fully customizable using Crystal Reports, meaning you can add your logo or special formatting. These quotes will even work with ACT and ACTD pricing now. Also, you can set up your price quotes by customer or by ship to. You can use a frequency group which determines which group of quotes are printed together. If you check the consolidated quotes option, it prints all the quotes to the customer on one report. Valid for box determines what prints on the quote and how long you'll be able to select that quote in your sales order entry. Quotes can be in both Excel, Crystal, or you can do them in both formats. At the time of the price quote generation, select the effective date and time, as well as any message you might need. At the time of the you can choose a single customer or a range of customers, or input frequency group or a range of groups. For instance, daily, weekly, opus, etc. Here is a sample of a Crystal report or a PDF output. And here is an example of an Excel output. Next up is the fuel price report. You wanted both visibility into Best Buy pricing as well as where to pick up your products. Well, here's your answer. You can incorporate multiple tables for multiple regions. Sales managers and dispatchers can receive as many or as few different regions as needed. Note, this report does not include taxes or freight. It's just purely the product price. So here's the Excel output. Flexibility with multiple options to meet your company's needs. It's 4 p.m. Do you know where your fuel is at? Perhaps you're saying, absolutely. My inventory is in my bulk plant. Don't you have trucks? Is there fuel on your trucks? Do you know where your drivers are? Do you know what was delivered when and where, real time? Are there compartments in the truck? Is there fuel in there? Do you know what the value of that fuel is? Can you tie the gallons delivered or in inventory back to bill of lading? So I ask again, do you know where your fuel is? DM2 and SmartTruck have partnered together to provide flexible, efficient, automated, and delivery. With DM2 and SmartTruck, you won't need to deliver to a tank from a compartment with the incorrect type of fuel, which saves you with costly mistakes. Additionally, SmartTruck digitally captures gallons, does credit checking, and communicates to the back office system. Imagine your driver finishing their deliveries and the invoices are sent to the customer before they park their truck for the day. SmartTruck is a great way to improve your cash conversion cycle. Within sales order entry, you want to make sure that SmartLogic's order checkbox is selected. Each customer has to have a ship to set for the Smart Truck delivery, SmartLinks will deliver the BOL integration as product movement. You create the order as you normally would, and the key is to check the SmartLogic order checkbox. This box only shows up if SmartLogic module is installed and activated. Here is the SmartLinks integration screen. You can also send the order to DM2. Here, we created the order from DM2. Most importantly, no matter what system you put the order into, a record of the order will be retained in both systems if the order is created in Sage or in SmartTruck, where the back office number is requested. We completed this order in SmartTruck. This is all the information that gets entered into the delivery process and then transferred back. Comes back to SmartTruck as a completed delivery. Then it goes to a review and approval process. Once approved, it's ready to be processed in Sage. Whether a truck or a trailer load or a tank wagon load, the SmartTruck BOL integration, also known as fuel movement, can accommodate. First, the audit reports are generated at a product level, then at a sales level. The BOLs are generated with the header, detail, receipt, and distribution. The add/update terminals and suppliers from the bill of lading pickup point code maintenance. Terminal is created based on the data added in the address section and SmartLogic section on the right. The supplier is added to SmartLogic using the Sage supplier or vendor number and name. This is the DM2 new feature number 1 regarding this. Before this feature was added, the only way to add a terminal was via the cross-reference. And this is a direct update from Sage, instead of updating Sage, SmartLogic, and the cross-reference table. The second SmartLogic SmartTruck DM2 new feature, customer and/or ship to for gross net flag override. In customer maintenance in the PetroLink button, there is a flag to force gross or force net to the SmartLogic distributions on the BOL transactions. This can be done at the ship to level as it's seen in the screens here. The SmartLogic different type of transactions have defaulted to gross or net, but in some states or areas it must be gross or net. You can set this at a global level for all ship tos or at a ship to level depending on the customer. Here's the setting here. So I wanted to thank you for listening to our summary of the fuels track from July at the DM2 Users Conference. And I'm going to hand it over to Tom to share about this next session.
Okay, thank you, Patty. We're going to be taking a break from our monthly webinars in December, but I wanted to take this opportunity to promote some of the DM2 use classes that we currently have available. If you go to the events page on our website, you'll see the calendar that you see on the left of the screen there with the different class selections there. The easiest way to find this that I found, for those of you familiar with our website, if you look towards that upper right corner, there's a How May I Help You drop-down menu. If you click on that menu, it'll bring up a selection of different things you can choose from, and one of those is I would like to register for a DM2 training class. So that's really the best way to access that, but you can see we've got a number of classes coming up. We've got our Sage Intelligence Report Writing Advanced class coming up next week. The week after that, we've got the Intro to Crystal Reports. And then, Patty, if I'm not mistaken, you're up in December, first up in December with your Introduction to SQL Data Warehouse Reporting. And then we've got another 2-day class in mid-December on Crystal Reports. It's really an extension of that first class. So the first class really an introduction. Second one, as the name implies, beyond the basics, goes beyond that. And then the other class I wanted to point out is one we've been holding regularly now for the last few years, is a payroll year-end preparation and processing class that's going to be held by Denise Austin. Denise is kind of our in-house expert on the whole payroll module, so she's going to be leading that class. So I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to take a look at those classes. If you go to our event calendar and click on any of those class titles, it'll give you the full description, and then there'll also be a link in there to take you right to the registration page. So a couple of ways to get to that registration page. All right, now we can open it up for any questions. Don't have any questions keyed in at the moment, so why don't we give it a minute or two, see if anybody has any questions there. Patty, if you want to go ahead and advance to the next slide.
And I'm not sure if we want to unmute the other team members and see if they had any other things they wanted to share if there aren't any questions.
Okay, they are actually unmuted. They always have been. They're set up as panelists, so they can jump in anytime they want.
Okay, if I missed anything or you want to make sure something is covered.
Sure, I know, it's a lot of material to cover, and as always, I'm sure people will think of questions right after we close this session out. So by all means, if you have any follow-up questions, think of anything, or interested in finding out any more about the new features or modules that Patty just told you about, feel free to email us at sales@dm2.com, and we'll make sure the appropriate person gets engaged to follow up with you. All right, still no questions at this point, so I think we'll go ahead and close things out. Once again, I just want to remind everybody that today's webinar has been recorded. Once the recording is available, we'll post it along with a copy of today's presentation on our website and on our YouTube channel, and then I'll send an email around to let everybody know when they're available to download and view. And as I said earlier, if you can think of any questions after the webinar or would like to find out more about today's topic, please feel free to email us at sales@dm2.com. Thanks, Patty, for doing a very nice job of condensing about, what was that, about 4.5 hours worth of material down to an hour, so good job there. And I would like to thank everybody for attending today's Fuels Recap webinar. Thank you very much. That concludes today's webinar. Thanks again, Patty.
Bye.